like a realization that no day is guaranteed. You know, I mean, you hear that all the time, but when you go through something like this, it's an amazing story of all the events that had to take place to keep me alive. The day before my cardiac arrest, I actually had a seizure. I was, so worried that I wanted somebody to check on me throughout the night. And then, like I said, my daughter, she was only 10 days old when this was going on, so I didn't want to make my wife have to get up and, check on me and also get up and take care of our daughters. I made my wife drive me over to my parents' house.
I was getting ready to go to church.
He did this thing that he used to do all the time when we were little kids, and he just walked in the room, put down his stuff, and he put a sign of the cross on my forehead.
Went to put a cross on his forehead to leave, and he started shaking tremendously.
The convulsions started, and when they ended was when my heart stopped.
You don't have a lot of time to think about what you're doing, and I just based what I did on what I learned in the Air Force during first aid training, and also the CPR training and AED training I'd had at Thomas McAfee.
I believe he had CPR performed by family at home, which is probably what saved his life.
I think we did what we could do, the best we could, and it did not take EMS long to take over the job.
I had the door open waiting for them, and they went straight back to the room where Rick was. And the little girl that, well, my husband said a little girl, but she's not. I think she's 28, but she took over for him, and she loves her job. And later when we spoke with her, she told us that Rick was the first survivor that she'd ever experienced. So that was a pretty emotional time for us to realize that this young lady had done CPR many times, and lots of times the people didn't make it.
Greenville as a community is very progressive in terms of how we deliver care, and one of the key things, I'll just give you an example, is the reliance on the first responders that come in the ambulance, the ability to do an EKG at the patient's home and then make a decision based on their interpretation of the EKG that patient needs to go to the cath lab if the EKG demonstrates a heart attack, to give the power to the EMT to do that, and for the system to rely on that individual saves so much time.
Greenville Hospital System did an amazing job after the EMTs had brought him in, and all the different new procedures, life-saving procedures, to prevent, first to give him life back, and then also to prevent any brain damage.
To have meaningful survival where people not only are discharged from the hospital but are able to leave the hospital and have full neurologic recovery, where they can interact with their wife, their children, their grandchildren. That's of prime importance.
He has a great life ahead of him, with a wonderful wife and new baby.